Namaste and good afternoon to one and all. I, Nirali Mehta, welcome you all to the second annual lecture of BKMIBA Institute of Business Administration. As we all know today, we are honored to have Mr. Shri Srijan Pal Singh as our guest lecturer. Mr. Shri Srijan Pal Singh has co-authored 2 books with the former President of India, Bharat Ratna, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. The books are titled Target 3 Billion and Khushhal or Samrit Vishwa. Currently, he is the strategic consultant and senior manager at Project Dharma. The purpose of inviting someone as honorable as Mr. Shri Srijan Pal Singh to the annual lecture is to ignite the young minds. Now I invite our director ma'am, Mrs. H.T. Trivedi, to formally introduce our guest lecturer.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Shri Srijan Pal Singh, Dr. Kalro, Dr. Paresh Patel, heads of programs, faculty, staff, students, and invited guests. Welcome to BKMIBA, the undergraduate arm of the business school, Amrit Modi School of Management. And thank you, Mr. Singh, for agreeing to spend your Friday evening with us to share your insights and interacting with the undergraduate business students. I guess my work has been made easier by the comparer. She has already done part of the introduction. I won't go over that again, but maybe bring out some things that she missed out. He is an IIMA alumnus, a gold medalist at that, but currently he is a strategic consultant and senior manager at Project Dharma, which has its mission of creating local village level entrepreneurs. Dedicatedly works all over India for enabling the rural population to emerge as the creators, and this is the interesting bit, who emerge as the creators, the retailers, and the service providers of rural market for quality and technologically superior products. In addition to co-authoring the 2 books that she has just told you about, he has also been a voracious writer and writes on a number of topics like nuclear power, balanced carbon credit equations, derivative exchange, NSE certification, providing urban amenities in rural areas, and entrepreneurial solutions to poverty. Before I go any further and give a photo snapshot of our program to the esteemed guest, I would request our student representatives to accord a warm welcome to him. Please. We at BKMIBA are committed to provide a fulfilling experiential learning environment aimed at developing a wide range of skills, knowledge, and attitude that are essential for the 21st century knowledge economy. We provide opportunities for students to acquire skills and experiences in real contemporary business environments by working with our corporate friends and partners. This initiative to have an annual lecture by an eminent person is part of that endeavor, whereby our students get to learn from the experience sharing of the esteemed speakers from the field. We are grateful to you for agreeing to be the speaker at the second BKMIBA annual lecture. We are wedded to the idea of nurturing excellence, the motto we have given ourselves right from the inception in all aspects of students' development. It is this commitment that makes us constantly look for opportunities whereby we can bring our students the best of the global education. Sorry. We have recently tied up with one of the best B schools in Europe, ESC Rennes, which will enable few of our students to spend a semester there, and similarly, some of their students will come and spend a semester here. Another interesting development is the opportunity that few of our students got to do a joint field project work with some students from one of the best engineering colleges of the US, the Olin College, and one of the best business schools, the Babson College. And they had a good 4-day exposure and field work trip that they did with both students from diverse backgrounds from both these colleges. We try to find new such opportunities for bringing about an all-round development. We are not only interested in making students versatile in knowledge and skills, but we would like them to be rooted in values and develop the right set of attitudes. It is with this view in mind that we thought that today's speaker would be very apt, so that the interaction with him can help our students to become socially sensitized thought leaders. I am grateful to the management of Ahmedabad University for their constant support in all our endeavors, be it curricular, co-curricular, extracurricular. I am also grateful to the heads of the programs, to the authorities of Ahmedabad University for being here with us. I thank my colleagues, staff, and students for making every event successful. Thank you all.
Hello everyone. First of all, I'm not sure how much I can enlighten you guys, but I'll try to share some experiences, and maybe it'll be a collective process of learning. First, I must greet and thank Professor Trivedi for calling me here. Professor Dr. Bhavesh Patel, my greetings to you. My special greetings also to Dr. Kalro, who is not only your teacher, but also my teacher's teacher. So he's someone who's taught people who have taught me when I was in IIM Ahmedabad some 4 years ago. So 4 years ago I used to sit in your places, so I'm more like you than like them. I must, and my greetings to all the renowned professors sitting here. I wish I could name you one by one, but in paucity of time I have to move on. And my special thanks to all of you guys. Today in the morning somebody told me today is something called a rose day. So I'm sorry if I'm making you miss somebody's taking or giving some roses. I'll try to finish on time so that you can continue with your schedule for the day. Please take a note of your time. It is important. Just take a note of what's the time in your watch. Okay, this is an important thing which will strike later. So according to me it's 5 o'clock. And we'll come back to it at the end of the lecture. Friends, before I get, somebody told me what is your topic, what are you going to talk about, and I really didn't have a clue because there's so much to talk and share. So what I'll do is that I will talk about a few things and then we will try to culminate into an idea which actually became a book which I wrote with Dr. Kalam. I had the great privilege, and that book was called Target 3 Billion, and basically what it does was it talks about an idea called providing urban amenities in rural areas, which ma'am talked about. It's called Pura. It's something which is affecting about 10,000 villages or developing 10,000 villages across the country, which is significantly large, but still a tiny drop in the ocean comparing that we have 6 lakh villages. But we'll talk about the development system and how we have evolved it over 4 years. But before that, let me just generally discuss a few things as a student who was 4 years ago there and who is now here, and how I have seen the world shift in 4 years. In 4 years, not more than 4 years, that's all. And that's the magic of it. What you're teaching and what you're learning today, and what you're learning, all of you are learning today, you're going to graduate in 3 years, some of you in 2 years, some of you on the brink of graduation perhaps. But the maximum period is at least 3 years. 3 years is what's going to take. Some of you might go into higher education, take 5 years. So you are teaching yourself and you're learning yourself, preparing for a world 5 years ahead. And now go back 5 years back. 5 years back, 2008, 9, how the world was. Things have changed. The social media has expanded. Now you've got multiple choices there. Your mobile rates have gone down. Suddenly you've got 4G coming, 3G. I was seeing around the way, you've got towers and towers of 4G now. I didn't even understand what it is now. I lose context on it. So you've got 3G, you've got 4G, you've got mobile internet. 23% of internet is being accessed on mobile phone. The bank credit system has gone up. You guys are using credit cards. The farmers are reaching farm cards. Productivity has gone up. Pollution has gone up. Population has gone up. In every 12 years, we'll add 1 billion people. By the time you graduate, we would have added another 500 million people. Another 500 million to feed, another 500 million to clothe, another 500 million to take care of. Security threats have gone up. Conflicts have gone up. Global conflicts, the interstate wars have come down. Within states are people fighting each other. Things will change. Things will change in the next 5 years. Are you prepared for how things will shape up when you get out of this campus? When you get out of this campus into real life? I'm going to show you something which I hope I'm able to run.
Had a fantastic cameo performance.
I'm going to pause here for a while. I'm going to talk about, it's a little video. I thought I'll make it a little more interesting on a rose day. And let's talk a bit about, and this is something which is developed over 4 years, visual arts, right? Everything is graphics and sounds. So I thought let's begin with something. Can we turn off the lights a bit? You know, this one perhaps, you know, so that people can get a better contrast. Great, thank you. Not those ones, then I can't see, right? People will sleep. So you have to turn off these ones. Right. So I thought it will be a good idea to actually talk about the changing world. And this is about 6 years old now. Can you guess the name of the man? Andrinel, right. And what does he do? Besides sledging? What does he do? So he's a fast bowler, right. And this is a clip, just have a look at it.
Hey. Show me the heart, that's what Nell says. And if I was Shri Srijan, then say, just wink at him, say, get on with it, big man.
Who's the batsman?
Yeah. His job is to bowl. And that's what he should be telling Nell.
You don't have a heart, you have a liver heart. That's what he said.
I wish he'd turn
and a few
around
other
and
things
stop
which I can't
embarrassing
say
himself and just do the job with the ball. It's quite unnecessary. I would tell him to have a look at the board and have a look at my batting number. He was entertaining, and he'll have a slog, and why not? And I'll tell you what, if he gets out now, South Africa got to face 10 minutes of batting before lunch. Oh, that is the perfect... I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Now what?
In all the years I've watched and covered cricket, this has to be the funniest. This will really get the South Africans going. I mean, it's the exuberance of youth. Shri Srijan, I'm not saying he's doing the right thing here. I mean, he's got to control his emotions, but he's just gone over the top as he's gone with the shot. Well, but to be fair to him, he's just doing it to himself. Well, under now.
Right. Interesting, isn't it? But look at it beyond just a fast bowler sledging at another fast bowler who's batting at number 11, and Andrinel comes in very fast. 20 years back, when Malcolm Marshalls were bowling, a number 11 of Indian batting order would not have dared to actually dance around the wicket and hit a fast bowler, even try hitting a fast bowler out for a six. But this is India. This is India's new youth. It takes things face on. It does not fear anything. And it's willing to actually dance around the wicket and try hitting Andren Els and the fast bowlers and the big countries and the developing nations, the developed nations, the Chinas, the US out of the park for a six. And they take pride in doing so. The dance, the pride. You may call it's a little too much, but so be it. Which Indian batsman at number 11 20 years back would have dared to do even a part of it? And this is the exuberance of the youth. And this is what Ravi Shastri called exuberance of the youth in the commentary. But this is pronounced across sectors. And this is how the Gurgaons and the Bangalores and the Hyderabad's of this country are processing and telling the white man on how to use his goods better and how to use his credit cards better, and telling them things which they can't do themselves. And this is what the President Obama sings of songs of India when he comes to Mumbai. This is what he means when he says, Detroit, gear up, otherwise Bangalore will take you over. This is India. And this is what you are part of. And this is what you will grow in. 5 years into your education, this is the India and the world which you will face. Yes, we have problems, many of them. But this is a land of opportunities. Everybody talks about it. Everybody wants to invest in India. You go to any country, they want to invest in India. They're looking for opportunities. Even when global recession hits, India does well. Even now, we had a recession of our own 1 year back and we have bounced out of it. Yesterday I was reading PNG having a P&L audit and they had 43% growth in Q4. That's phenomenal growth is back. So are you geared to face these times? That is a critical question. And what is also critical is that are you ready to generate the new unique set of ideas which the world will require? In 1870s, there used to be a man called Lord Kelvin. How many of you have heard of Lord Kelvin? Lord Kelvin, one. How many of you have heard of the Kelvin scale of temperature? It's named after, so that's named after Lord Kelvin, by the way. Lord Kelvin would not be happy. Nobody knows him. So the Kelvin scale was made on after the name of Lord Kelvin. And he was Lord, which means he was like big guy. And the big guy said, look guys, nothing which is heavier than air can fly. Very logical, right? Nothing heavier than air can fly. Nobody refuted him. 40 years later, a bunch of 2-cycle repairers in a place called Kitty Hawk in the United States, and the United States was nothing back then, in 1910, flew something which was heavier than air. And not only flew that, flew inside it. They challenged the norms. They challenged what was taught. They challenged what was the established theory. In 1970s, Bill Gates said that, well, I think the world doesn't need anything more than 256 kilobytes of memory ever. 256 kilobytes of memory ever. Today, your mobile phone comes with a 10 GB, which is about 400,000 times more than 256 KB. Norms are to be challenged. And this is the new norm. The only rule is to break rules. I'm sorry, I'm saying it in front of professors. They're looking at me like, really? But that's the norm. That's the norm. And sometimes, not all the times, sometimes I feel education teaches us not to do so. Education teaches us to fear something which is the stepping stone to success, which is failure. Sometimes we are conditioned into a culture of mediocrity because we fear failures, we fear trying. I'll give you an example. We were going in a place called Jaunpur. How many of you know Jaunpur? Jaunpur. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, 6, a lot of people. Good. Jaunpur is a place in East Uttar Pradesh. Very poor. I'm very happy that some people know about it. I was born in a place and nobody introduced that. I was in a small place called Pratapgarh, which is near Jaunpur, and you know Pratapgarh, right? She's from UP, right? Yeah, that's right. So there's this place in there's a particular school in Jaunpur, and we were doing a survey there to find out what is the pattern of education awareness there. And the first question you ask is, boom, what travels faster than light? What travels faster, sound or light? What travels faster, sound or light? What travels faster? What travels faster? Light. Anybody for sound? Anybody for sound? One chocolate for saying sound. One rose for saying sound. Yeah, so sound and light. What travels faster? Light. And each of these must be like 50 children, and all of them said light. And then one guy stood up, a little guy, his buttons were like not matching, they were like twisted a bit, so up and down. And this guy said, no, sound. And immediately the teacher caught him by the ear and said, and here's the President of India who's asking this question, so you better be right. And the teacher felt so awful because of that he said, no, क्या बताया था कल सिखाया था ना तुम्हें, and कल सिखाया था ना, अब this third degree torture you subject a child to, and नहीं हाँ ठीक है light. But then we went on and said, no, why did he say sound at all? So we said, pause, hold a minute. Why did he say sound? And the child gave the most beautiful answer. He said, my father is a farmer, and when my father comes back home and switches on the television, and by the way, these are not this kind of television, the televisions which are the old CRT fashion, what comes first? He said the sound comes first. The picture comes later. So sound travels faster. Isn't that beautiful? But sometimes I feel our education system will teach this kid not to see what happens when a television is switched, not to observe what his father does when he comes back home, and not to stand up in a crowd of 50 people and give an answer which is different. This is what our education sometimes teaches us. I'm sure that with all the great faculty you have, you don't go through this problem. But 70% of Indians who are studying in an education system based out of rural India are day in facing out this problem. And we have to change this. And part of what follows now is about that. It's about creating a system which is called providing urban amenities in rural areas. It's about analyzing how the inequities of this world is affecting us, how inequities of this country is going to affect us too, and what we can do about it and what we have done about it already. So I'm going to show you something, a small little video, just to keep you more interested. Nobody sleeps. And this is on wealth and equity, and some of you might have seen it, so pardon me if you have. I'm sure many of you haven't. Even if you have, there's always something new to learn. I'm not going to show you the in-time trailer, so a lot of people's expectations will be shattered. I'm going to show you this video, which I found it on the net, and you may find it useful.
People are talking a lot about inequality these days, about the fact that the richest 1% have so much more than everybody else. But most of the focus seems to be on the United States, and it strikes me that the same story needs to be told about global inequality too. So I did some research, and this is what I found from reliable sources like the UN. It turns out that while the US is totally out of whack, things are actually way worse for the planet as a whole. Let's start with this graph. A perfectly even distribution of wealth among all living people, with everyone divided into 5 equal groups. Now, let's show how much each group actually has. Shocking, right? 80% of the world's people barely have any wealth. It's hard to even see them on the chart. Meanwhile, the richest 2%, they have more wealth than half of the rest of the world. Let's look at this chart another way. Let's take the whole world's population, all 7 billion of us, and reduce it to just a representative 100 individuals. Here they are. Poorest people on the left, richest people on the right. Now let's show how the world's total wealth, roughly $223 trillion, is distributed. The vast majority have practically nothing. Nothing with which to educate their children, nothing with which to pay for basic medicines. While the richest 1%, they've accumulated 43% of our world's wealth. The bottom 80%, meanwhile, that's 8 out of every 10 people, have just 6% between them. But even this doesn't really show how extreme things have become. The richest 300 people on Earth have the same wealth as the poorest 3 billion. So the number of people it takes to fill a mid-sized commercial aircraft have more wealth than the populations of India, China, the US, and Brazil combined. We can also see this difference geographically, with a huge and growing gap between a few rich places versus the majority of the world. For most of history, things were much more equal. 200 years ago, rich countries were only 3 times richer than poor countries. By the end of colonialism in the 1960s, they were 35 times richer. Today, they're about 80 times richer. Rich countries try to compensate for this by giving aid to poor countries, about $130 billion each year. That's a lot of money. So then why does the wealth gap keep getting bigger? One reason I found is that large corporations are taking more than $900 billion out of poor countries each year through a form of tax avoidance called trade mispricing. On top of this, each year poor countries are paying about $600 billion in debt service to rich countries on loans that have already been paid off many times over. And then there's the money that poor countries lose from trade rules imposed by rich countries to get access to more resources and cheaper labor. Economists from the University of Massachusetts calculate that this costs poor countries about $500 billion a year. Altogether, that's more than $2 trillion that flows from some of the poorest parts of the world to the richest every year. Rich governments like to say they're helping poor countries develop, but who's developing who here? This makes me think that there's something wrong with the basic rules of the global economy. It can't be okay that the wealth of our planet is becoming so concentrated in the hands of such a tiny number of people.
Right, so the word to catch there was the fact that 300 people, a jet full of people, control the same amount of wealth as 3 billion at the bottom. And that 3 billion became the basis for our book called Target 3 Billion, which is a book which I told you I co-authored with Dr. Kalam. How do you tackle the needs, the opportunities of the 3 billion people, the bottom 3 billion people of the world? Interestingly, 3 billion people also live in the villages of the world, the rural population of the world. Even more interestingly, the same number is the number of young people in this world. And 3 billion kilograms of carbon dioxide is something which we inject into the atmosphere every year. So 3 billion is a number which runs across poverty, which runs across rural economies, which runs across environment, which runs across youth. So it's got everything into it. And that's why we chose that number. Now I'm going to talk to you something more standard. And, okay. So now we're going to use some slide and some experiences I can share with you while we go through them. This is a, what is this? This is an A380. This is the world's largest passenger aircraft ever built. There's something interesting about A380. 16 out of all the parts, 16 major components out of, so there are about thousands of components in an aircraft, but 16 of the most important 100 components of this aircraft are built in India. Well, Airbus is a European company, but 16 of its major parts are built in India, which includes the emergency exit gliders, which includes the front gate, which is, and the computer which operates, the software which actually runs that computer is built by TCS. The software which runs the cockpit is built by Infosys. There is a rubber company of India which build that inflatable things which go out of the emergency exit. And like that, there are 16 parts in this aircraft which are made by Indian companies. And this is a reiteration of what I was telling you. This is from 16 is perhaps become 32 someday, or maybe all 100 of them. Maybe we will build A380, maybe something much bigger than A380. And that's for you to build. You will manage those organizations which will build the next generation of A380s of this world. And this is how it's going to happen. So I was going from Chandigarh to Delhi, coming back, and I happened to, we were going on this highway, and there's this huge car, and this is the, what do you call this? It's called limousine, right? So there's a huge limousine standing there, many of them, 3 or 4 of them, and they didn't, somehow they struck something different. They didn't look like a limousine, they were long, but they look something different. So I checked them out, and it turns out that there's this little guy called Hari Prasad Motorworks who actually rents out something which is called a Toyota limousine. What he does is that he cuts out your standard, well, if you see the logo has come up, right? So just pay attention here. Yeah, this is what I wanted to show you. So it's a standard Toyota, actually this one is Tata. Tata something, Tata Safari or something. And so he's got all kinds of brands, right? So this one is a Tata Safari version, and he cuts it and he expands the whole thing, stretches the thing, and makes a limousine out of it, which he rents out to marriage parties. And if you ask him, he'll tell you a Bolero and a Toyota and a Tata limousine, whichever you want, he's got it. And that's the, you may call it jugaad, you may call it innovation, you may call it invention, or you may call it frugal invention, all kinds of words we can attach to it. But the fact is that this is a country which is full of minds which can think out of the box. I was amazed seeing this. Yeah, this is what I want to talk about, why we need systems. If you look at the global population, it has swollen from about less than 500 million when Christ, when 180 started, just after Christ. That's right here. And it has grown, this line is the one which we are tracking. And it grew to about 1 billion around just around 1900. And then since 1900, we've grown to 7 billion. Now this graph is also even outdated now. So its population is growing so fast that we're now at 7 billion. We are 7 billion in no time. So this is how the population grew like. What's interesting is the wealth per capita. So the wealth per person available has also gone up. So our resource utilization has significantly gone up. And our wealth creation has significantly gone up, especially since the industrial era, around this period. This is when the industrial revolution happens. And our wealth has exponentially gone up as well. But this comes at a cost. This all comes at a cost. It comes at a cost to the planet. It comes at a cost to our existing natural resources. And it also comes as a cost to peace. If you look, then most wars today are being fought on natural resources, usually oil. This is how it has increased, right? And this is how the number of cities with more than so up till 1800 there was only one city which had 1 million people, and that was London. Now there are more than 300 cities spread across the globe. All these red dots are basically cities which have more than 1 million people. So we did an experiment. We did an experiment where we tried to find out that, well, if resource utilization is going to go up, and we were to find out that how much waste a person will generate if everybody starts living like a developed world, everybody starts living like North Americans and Europeans, then what will happen? So we found out that it requires about 11 hectares of land for every person to live if we all start living like North Americans. The Indians and the Chinese and the Africans, we all start living like North Americans. And then we did a backward calculation based on the available land of this planet. And we found out that if all of us start living like North Americans do, and all of us start living like Europeans do, then what will happen is that we will need not 1, but 6 planet Earths. So if we don't intend to quickly find another 6 planets to live on, we need to change the way we live. And that's where we started focusing on rural areas. We said, let's find new development models to develop the rural areas, because A, they have the resources. 94% of India's land is in rural areas. So can we do something about that? 70% of population is rural areas. Can we do something about that? So what will be the next design models for rural India? Cinema, cinema. All you watch movies, right? So cinema is a great way of actually finding the assessment of a society about a certain parameter, right? In 1980s, there used to be a movie. Remember this guy? Gabbar Singh. And he used to live in a place called, not live but loot a place called Ramgarh. So Ramgarh was a land which had nothing much to do really. People were doing not much except running around horses and celebrating Holi. And there was lawlessness. Lawlessness to the extent that to tackle one man like Gabbar, you had to have two great superheroes of Indian cinema to save you. And not one Sanjeev Kapoor, Kumar could do it alone. So it was lawlessness. That's what we reflected. That's what we thought our villages were worth. And flashback to our generation, the most significant rural depicting movie was Lagan, Champaran. And it depicts village Champaran as a place which again, very low in productivity, and the very thought of Doguna Lagan makes them take an impossible challenge of trying to defeat a British cricket team at a sport which they had no clue of. Such was the level of desperation. So that's what we depict in our cinema. That's what the society feels about villages. We feel that they are lawless areas, they are economic sinks, and there's very little of development to do there. So we thought we're going to change this. So I used to work with, I don't know whether you've heard of a company called Boston Consulting Group. So I used to work there, and one day I got a great chance to, Dr. Kalam used to be my teacher in 2009. When I was in IIM Ahmedabad, he was the second year teacher there for a course. And he said, let's design something. And that's how we got designing the system of Pura. So I left, the management consulting part was actually that part, on my introduction, which was very small in my life. But nevertheless, so I left that and I started working with him, and we developed this model of actually changing this whole perception of Indian village by actually creating examples of excellence. And that was the system of Pura, P-U-R-A, providing urban amenities in rural areas, P-U-R-A, which we implemented. I'm going to quickly discuss about that. But yeah, this is one of our Pura complexes photo actually. This is a before photo. Now you guys have management, does this work, this light? It doesn't have a light. Cool. Hey, light. So what I want you to do is, which button? Which button? No, not this here. I'm looking for something else. This is what I'm looking for. This is good. Great. Cool stuff, man. Runs around the screen. So, yeah. So, we thought we're going to change. So, this is you guys are students. You guys are doing something which is related to management. And the most important thing about being a manager is the ability to observe. Right? Unless you observe, you can't change something. The first step is to observe. So let us observe and do this little exercise of observing this picture. This is something which I had taken from a mobile camera, so pardon me for not of the highest resolution which might go on a Facebook. But nevertheless, let's try to observe this. Observe this man, this man, right? This man with a Gandhian topi has no political inclinations, but nevertheless, this man with the Gandhian topi. Observe the fact that there is this hull, plow, which is used to set the ground ready for cultivation, for seeding. Observe, this is a wooden plow which is a reminiscence of perhaps the 19th century. Observe the fact that the plow is being pulled by two women. If you can, observe the fact that one of those women is actually in a school uniform. And if you can really observe the fact that the women are bare feet. Women are bare feet while the man is wearing shoes. So we were working in this place. This is a place called Loni, which is near Shirdi. Shirdi is a very famous religious place, well known for Sai Baba. And so we went to this. On your right, there is this little hut, this one, this behind the tree. And this is where the man lives. And we went in, and very hospitable people. Generally, villages of India are very hospitable, far more than some metros. And this guy pulls out something which is called a Kala Sharbat. like Kala Sharbat. If you go to rural Maharashtra, you'll find a lot of Kala Sharbat there. And Kala Sharbat is nothing more than Coca-Cola. That's all. It's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola reaches this man's house, his kitchen, every single day. Every single day, a Coca-Cola bottle, like a religious practice, would be dropped at his home. Every single day. But modern agricultural technology will not reach this man's plow or his farm. Women empowerment will not reach the two women who pull this plow. Education does not reach the girl who is in a school uniform and pulling that plow. Healthcare does not reach. Sanitation does not reach. All these places where, where development is needed the most, development fails to reach. It fails to reach. But Coca-Cola can reach. And there's nothing against Coca-Cola about it. I salute Coca-Cola for doing this. I salute soft drink companies for being able to reach. I salute telecom companies for being on billboards. When you travel on a railway and you go across a rural area, you will find billboards on walls. So they use the wall to print the whole thing. But modern education does not reach that wall. Awareness does not reach that wall. Democratic rights does not reach that wall. It does not reach the school. It does not reach the panchayat. Why?